Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing on this Saturday coming. This Saturday being the 1st of November, isn't it? God, time fly. But there is a card over in Manchester, a Queensbury card, which is kind of light heavyweight, top heavy, if you know what I mean. Three interesting light heavy fights. There's Liam Cameron against Troy Jones, which is both coming off defeats, I think. There's Bradley Ray against Lyndon Arthur for the EBU title. That's a good one. Arthur, his career is in a bit of a precarious situation because he's lost a couple recently. But he's still young enough to come back. Brad Ray, he is the current EBU light heavyweight champ. That's the real light heavy belt. None of this WBO, IBF, European belt nonsense. But there's also another light heavyweight, a third light heavyweight fight on the card, and it's between Joshua Buatsi and Zack Parker. And both of these guys have been beaten once. Buatsi has 19 wins and 1 defeat. Former Olympian, started off with Matchroom, then went to Sky. Now he's with Queensbury. His career hasn't quite been as illustrious as perhaps a lot of people were predicting. And the same can be said of Zack Parker. He's got 26 wins with 1 defeat. And if you look at Parker, he's 31 now. He's an orthodox fighter. He's about 6 foot tall. But he has spent his career at super middleweight. He's moving up to light heavyweight. I think his last fight was at light heavyweight, was it? I don't know about. I know he beat Jack Arnfield, who was certainly not a light heavy. And Arnfield was coming back after 6 years out or something like that. Parker became the first guy to stop Jack Arnfield. He stopped him in 4 rounds. He also had a win over Tyrone Zoiga, that was at super middleweight. That was a unanimous 10-round decision. So he's moving up in weight, basically. And since his lone defeat, he's had 4 victories. The lone defeat was to John Ryder about 3 years ago, almost, I think it was November 2022. He retired after 4 rounds due to what he said was a broken right hand. And had he beaten Ryder, he would have got that very lucrative fight with Canelo Alvarez, for a huge amount of money. So he missed the boat on that one. And a lot of people were critical of the way Zack Parker went out in that fight. That was for the WBO interim super middleweight title, which was really, like I say, a springboard to the undisputed champ, who was Canelo. But a lot of people were critical. They said, well, all right, you had a broken hand. But Parker seemed to, a lot of people anyway, were saying that Parker quit rather than being pulled out by his corner. There are lots of fighters who had busted jaws, broken hands, and they've carried on fighting. And whether you take that view or not is neither here nor there. If you pick up that type of reputation, it's hard to shake off. Someone who quits and doesn't fight with a broken hand or with a broken jaw. I always think of Ricky Burns fighting with a busted jaw against who was it? I can't remember the guy's name, but I remember him saying after about 8 rounds, my jaw's fucked, and he was like, "Yeah, all right." What the corner were like, "Yeah, well, so what?" And he was like, "No problem," and he carried on with a busted jaw. And of course, you've got other examples. Muhammad Ali going 10 rounds, having had his jaw busted in the second round against was it Ken Norton in that defeat. Then you've got the famous one with Danny Williams having the dislocated shoulder and knocking out Mark Potter with a left hook. Fighters are rightly or wrongly expected to walk through walls, walk through fire, walk on crushed glass, or whatever other thing you want to say. And the phone's going. And so a lot of people were saying, well, look, this is just not good enough. You meant to go out on your shield and you didn't. Okay. Well, that might be a bit unfair. I don't know. I'll let you make your own decision on that. But there's no doubt that in the 3 subsequent years, his career has it's been okay. He's had a few wins, but nothing great. Now, if you compare that to Buatsi, Buatsi's coming off a defeat to Callum Smith, his first defeat. That was early this year in February. And it was a brilliant fight, an absolutely brilliant fight, which opened. It was the opener about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, in the early evening, late afternoon, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, and that was the Beterbiev Bivol rematch, wasn't it? It was one of those gigantic Riyadh cards. But it was a brilliant fight, Callum Smith versus Joshua Buatsi. Absolutely marvellous fight. And okay, he lost a unanimous decision to Smith. Smith had something left. Everyone was thinking Smith was maybe past his best, or this was Buatsi's chance to shine. It was for the WBO interim light heavyweight title. And I think Buatsi had won that against Willie Hutchinson it wasn't a Riyadh card, I think it was at Wembley Stadium, wasn't it? Yeah, it was Wembley Stadium. He won a split decision over Willie Hutchinson on the Dubois Joshua card. And he's had some great other wins, all at light heavyweight. Dan Aziz was undefeated in 20. He beat him on a unanimous decision, had him over in the 11th, I think it was. Spider Richards, he beat him, unanimous decision over 12. He got a good 11th round TKO against Ricard Bolotniks, who at the time was a pretty decent European level fighter. He has been brought on steadily, but a bit too slowly, and the change of promoters didn't really help. But Buatsi has some spite to him. He has some nastiness to him. He's a quiet guy, but still waters run deep. And if you rile him, he'll get annoyed with you. Remember Daniel Dos Santos, French fighter, I think, who was undefeated in 15. This was about 4.5 years ago. He knocked him out in 4 rounds, and Buatsi was going after him big time. I don't think the defeat to Callum Smith means Buatsi's finished. Far from it. One defeat doesn't mean anything. But he is a career light heavyweight. He's 6'2". He's an orthodox fighter. He's 32 now. So maybe, sometimes when you mature as a human being, it can improve your sort of standing, your performance, whatever it is, not just boxing, but suddenly whatever it is your vocation is, because you've matured as a person, you start to sort of be a bit more disciplined, be a bit more structured, and maximise your potential. And I don't think it's too late for Buatsi, not at 32. So who's going to win this fight then? Well, look, Buatsi is I think, a pure boxer puncher. Orthodox, quite tall for the weight, lovely jab, but looks to hurt you. He's not just he does box. He relies on his skills. That's his basis. He's not a caveman. We're not talking Fabio Wardley here. He is a very well-schooled fighter, a former Olympian, but he likes to throw bombs. He's looking to take you out, to soften you up and take you out. And I think against Callum Smith, he did take some big punches and showed he's got a good chin and a good heart, good gas tank as well. All things that I think are somewhat lacking in the naturally smaller Zack Parker. There's a question mark over his heart, in my opinion. I know I'm not the only one that thinks that. He has been 10 rounds. He went 10 rounds in his last fight with a guy whose name escapes me. I can't remember his name. He did 10 rounds against Tyron Zoiga, who only had 1 defeat on his record, but his career never really went anywhere. Quit against Ryder. I don't really see a great deal of quality in his resume at 168. So you put him in there with Buatsi at 175. I'm not fancying his chances at all. He is, again, he's got some decent skills. He's got 18 KOs in 26 wins, so I suppose he's got a bit of pop. But then, lest we forget, Buatsi's got 13 KOs in 19 wins, and the quality of his opposition is better and bigger. So I only see one winner in this fight, to be honest with you, and I'm afraid it's not Zack Parker. I'm afraid for the second weekend running, we're going to get a guy called Parker who loses by stoppage. I expect Joshua Buatsi to beat up Zack Parker and stop him in about 5 or 6 rounds. Between the 4th and the 6th, we'll say that. So I think he'll just have too much of everything for Parker. I think he'll soften him up in the first few rounds, take over. Once he gets the distance, controls the distance, once he gets the jab moving, he'll start firing the big right hand, and I think he'll take Parker out, like I say, roughly 5 rounds anyway. So let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I don't know. You tell me. And thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, please hit the like button, and also subscribe to the channel if you're new, because you're a generous person and it takes a second and costs you nothing. Thank you. All right, ladies and gents, tell me what you think, and I will catch you later. Bye for now.